Hey, this is Paul. Thanks for checking out part 2 of our grand tour. So let's start off. This is Alice Snow, which I got from Leo Manuel, and that was his friend. It's a white-fleshed Undatus. Gets a lot of shade here. I'm gonna let it grow on this wall. Now, this is our elevated trellis design that we did a while back, and it's evolved and changed a few times, and now I have Leo Manuel's Solanaceus megalanthus crossed with Costrosensis. This is seedling B, or pot B, I should say. I have, this one is his pink condor, which is a really delicious one. This is seedling E, which to me is the most unique of his whole series. The flower buds look unique, and look at those branches and the coating. I really like this one. So I have not gotten fruit off of it, but it had flower buds that aborted last season. But really, really pretty plant. Here is Solanaceus spinulosus. All the fruit aborted off of it, but it's really happy here, and it makes the smallest little flowers I've ever seen. Monkey tail cactus. Here's the Solanaceus, the queen of the night here. This is Solanaceus petransis. Petransis, I said it wrong.
Is that a budding flower? I think,
yeah, it's really hairy, and they actually don't taste that good. So we have that. I have a sugar dragon seedling in here as well. I call it Sugar Dragon X. I have the Lost Dutchman. I have an unknown Laverne purple in here, a grandiflorus, and so many other things in here. Lots of Solanaceus as well.
Is that the Dutchman?
This is the Lost Dutchman. Check out the fruit. It's looking pretty cool. Really spiny, really small. Yeah, and then I have some other things here that are just growing out. This one's Hoang Red over here. And it's starting to bud. And then I also have a really special one here called Thanos, which is from Xavier in Puerto Rico. And I put it here, the ants were eating it, but now it's got some growth. So this one is really rare, Thanos. Over here now we have Solanaceus grandiflorus right here. And then thanks to Scott, he recommended that Red Leonardo and Red Jaina and Trinidad get more shade. So I moved them here, and they're a million times happier. So I've learned that Polyrhizis and some of these just prefer more shade, and they're really bouncing back. Also have Solanaceus hamatus. And then last weekend I got to meet the Gray Martin, who's one of my heroes, and he gave me some plants, and this is his opal. So I have 2 plants that are opal. So I'm excited to grow these and plant them. Now we also have Solanaceus Honduras, the Honduran moon torch. We have here Hyloceus stenopterus, which is the purple flower, the parent of Connie Meyer and many others, Assunta. We have Leo Manuel's G2 here, which is doing pretty well, really old plants. We have Red Jaina. We have this really weird white-fleshed seedling from the botanical gardens that my friend gave me. It's called an unknown white crossed with PG. It's actually the hardest plant I'm growing, so it needed more shade, and now it's doing well here. Look at that, G2 has a flower bud. Now speaking of G2, I actually have 3 different plants about that. I'll show you in a second. But before we get to that, we have the purple flower Ocamponus. It's closing up. You can see the bees are enjoying it. Really beautiful bloom. Here's a fruit on it that's set. And again, Ocamponus, I've never had this. These are some of the trendier, more popular ones now. It's putting on nice flesh. This purple flower one's probably my favorite of those new ones that came from Mexico in the past few years. And it's got another bud there. This one is Robles Red, which I got from Wallace Ranch. And the most special one to me is right here. This one is actually from the original mother plant. So they were nice enough at Wallace Ranch when we toured. They showed me the original mother plant. I said, may I have a cutting? So I have it. So this is from the first Robles Red mother plant. Back there we missed a 6S, which is not flowering, so it's not too exciting. One of Paul Thompson's. This one is G2 in here, and I have, again, 3 sources. I have Leo Manuel's, and then 2 versions from Leo Manuel's friend. And he said they actually tasted a little different. He got one from Florida and one from Leo Manuel. So just growing them out, I did notice that this G2 really has these weird shaped flower buds. I don't know if you're seeing this, but it's consistently making these kind of splits in the flower bud. See that? So I don't know if that's a special trait to this G2 or not, but that's just an observation. I also have a really rare one here. This is a highly sought after one, but it grows like garbage in our climate. And this is yellow Thai, right? Or yeah, yellow Thai from Spicy Exotics. Actually has a flower bud there. And it's a Megalanthus hybrid. Now over here is G1. So I have G1, G2, G3. This is G1. It's the most sensitive of the G series. And it's actually a parent plant of the really popular like Queen Denarius and Connie G. So G1, and then I have an Assunta 5 Ventura on this side. So Assunta 5 Ventura. Here is my favorite of the G series. This is G3. Nice flushes, earliest to bloom, really productive plant. And this one was Leo Manuel's, and this was Leo Manuel's favorite of the G series. I actually have 2 pots of it. I like it that much. And you can see that they're all about the same age, but the G3 tends to grow the best. And so look at how old it is too. Look at this. You can see how old it is, and this was Leo Manuel's. So it's really corked over, really beautiful old plant. This is a different G2. This one is the other one. I'm gonna evaluate and see how it does. And it's mixed up in here with Leo Jr., one of the plants that I named from Leo Manuel's collection. And Leo crossed this, it's 7S crossed with Neon. So really rare, and it actually has a fruit over here. Scott, check it out. So here's the fruit for 7S crossed with Neon. The little tips of the fruit and the flower buds are darker than its parent, which is right here, 7S. And this 7S is Paul Thompson's missing one. They said it was died in the frost, but not before he gave it to Sven Meriton, which is this one came from, and then Leo had it. Now, I think 7S didn't stick around because it's more of a shy producer, as you could see. Not too many flower buds. It's definitely a lighter colored flesh as well. And this is one of my top 5s for sure. I absolutely love this plant. This is Laverne Pink. We call it Paul's Laverne Pink because there's different versions. This was actually a mislabeled Laverne Red I bought from a friend gave us, and he bought it from a nursery. So really pale pink fruit. You can see it's really spiny compared to other Laverne Pinks. And it Brixes at about 24 consistently. This one is absolutely delicious fruit. One of my favorite, especially if you like sweet flavors. Now with it is my favorite Orahona seedling. Hopefully you've seen some of the others, 8 and 7, and this one's number 4. And what I like about it compared to its sisters is it grows really dark red. And in the heat wave, it's dark red. It's so unique, the growth, compared to the 7 other seedlings. It hasn't fruited for me yet, but it's really hopefully gonna flower this season. I'm really hoping on it. And you can see the more mature branches are really thick, really pretty plant. So this is Orahona XJ4. Now over here, I have actually 3 things. I have Dark Star, I have 9S, and I have the orange flower Ocamponus. And look at that fruit, really beautiful. I can't wait to try it. Really pretty plant. And I've evaluated and I consider Dark Star and 9S the same, so don't waste your money buying both. They flower at the same time, they fruit taste the same, and it's really an aggressive grower. Look at that. So Dark Star, 9S, and the purple flower Ocamponus. Okay. Now this one's a no ID. I believe it's a Condor. I found it at Elk Creek Dragon Fruit, really vigorous grower. And then I also have one of Leo Manuel's 7S crossed with Neon, a different pot. So he had 4 pots. So this is another one that hasn't flowered yet. What else do we have over here? We have, this is 4S, and this one was, so far, I'm a little confused about this because it's a little different than the book indicates. The book says that it was a pale pink fruit, but this is magenta. And it's really delicious. So I'll do an in-depth review on these fruit this season and explain what I think happened to this plant. And I personally am leaning towards that Paul Thompson's book may have an error, or it could have been mislabeled. But this one is Paul Thompson's 4S from Leo Manuel. And every fruit has been delicious. Reminds me of Halley's Comet, which is one of my favorites so far. But it's not as described in the book. It's been more of a magenta flavored, magenta colored fruit. So we'll do a proper review on this and we'll go into detail about what I think happened with that one. This one is a really popular one these days. This is Cotton Candy 1-10. This is one of Don Burnett's 18 seedlings he's growing out, and I'm growing a few of them. This one tastes really good. I got it from Donovan Vasta, who named it, and you can see how prolific it is. Did get a little bit of damage in the winter, as you can see up here, but it bounced back. I've taken a lot of cuttings off of it, and I gave some away. I sold some for 10 bucks, and I like this plant a lot. Really good. I mean, look at these fruit. I can't wait to eat them this season. Really large, too. And then on this side is another one that people are saying is great. This is Esmeralda, which is from Mexico, and it's a green-skinned undatus white flesh. I set 2 fruit on it. It's been really an aggressive grower, vigorous plant. So Esmeralda. Over here is another really aggressive grower. We got this you were there, Scott. We got this from Oceanside Dragon Fruit, and this was their mislabeled Kathy Von Arum. And it tastes really similar to Axe, and it's really, I would say it's more of an aggressive grower than Axe. So possibly another Assunta seedling, really beautiful plant. The fruits are delicious. The flowers are beautiful.
Yeah, really reaches for the sky.
Oh yeah, and
Look
I've
at that.
pruned off so many branches. It's like, I call it an Axe on steroids, in my opinion. Maggie's Axe on steroids. And then this one is from Peps. This is one he calls Lamas. And it produces like a Guatemalan fruit. It's some really unique plant he got early on, and nothing grows like it. So I really like it. It's a delicious fruit, and it grows really well. It's just a little spiny, but great plant. Over here, I have Assunta 5 Paco, which is the official Assunta 5. I got this from Ricardo, who got it from Edgar Valdivia himself. So this came from Edgar Valdivia's collection. And another really rare one I put with it is from Edgar Valdivia, and this one's called Alora, which is a white flesh, no, it's a purple flower, but white flesh fruit. So Alora, not too many people have it. I got this from my friend Richard Renshaw. He's awesome, really great guy. Now, we got to come back up here because we talked about Cotton Candy 110, but now we got to talk about the sister seedlings. And so these ones are really expensive these days. Cuttings are going for a lot of money, highly sought after. And this one is seedling 1-12. Now, Leo Manuel and Don Burnett traded rare hybrids several years ago, 2017. And this is how Leo Manuel acquired it. And then he passed away and I bought it. So this one, Kim Pham has, and I believe she has named it, but I'm not sure what. So that's seedling 1-12. On this side, I have Connie G, which is 1-3. I have it from Kim and from Spicy Exotics. And I bought a $100 cutting last season. It was very large. It topped the trellis, and you can see it's already producing really nice branches. So Connie G. And on this side, I have a really unique plant from Leo Manuel, and it's Leo Manuel's Hylocereus undatus crossed with Hylocereus costarricensis. So really aggressive grower. It ended up being a decent fruit last year, but the plant wasn't really happy, so I gave it more sun. And look at it now, so much better. Really old plant too, look at this. So this is one of Leo's seedlings. He had so many. So he is actually a really popular hybridizer that most people didn't know about. Now over here, this is seedling 1-3, and I was told that I'm the only one with it. Leo Manuel had it, and I didn't know what to do, so I decided I wanted to give this one away for free. So I've given away a lot of different cuttings so people can grow this one and see what they think for themselves. So we'll see what happens. This is seedling 1-3.
Looks healthy.
It is. It's really healthy, topping the trellis. I actually have 2 pots of it. So this one is one I'm growing to evaluate the fruit, and the other one I'm growing to share cuttings. Now this one here is the last one of the series, I believe. It's Queen Daenerys, which is 1-4. So Queen Daenerys, the beautiful flower, hopefully you've seen it. And so I bought this one. It's the least spiny of the series that I have. And then on this side, I have Edgar Valdivia's Red Undatus. So I'm not sure if this one got renamed Vietnamese Red, but this one I found in Leo Manuel's collection. Here's one of Leo's tags. And again, it says Red Undatus Ed Val. And then last on this row is Leo Manuel's 7S crossed with Neon Pot E. Like I said, he had 4 pots of it, so I have one of those in here. And then I also have his Hylocereus undatus and G2. So he crossed G2 with Hylocereus undatus and made this hybrid. So I haven't really shared this with many people, maybe 1 or 2, and the fruit is delicious. It's a good one as well. Now over here we have one I named Brenda. This is Leo Manuel's Jim Neitzel crossed with Rixford, and this is seedling B. So it makes a magenta flesh fruit. You can see it's not the same as Purple Haze. You can see it's definitely spinier, longer spines. But again, Leo Manuel copied Paul Thompson's Fortuitous Cross. So the fruit was quite good last year. I had a few smaller fruit, but this season we'll see how it tastes. And here's its sister. This is Peggy, which is seedling A, and this produces a pink flesh fruit like Delight. So Peggy is seedling A. Again, look at how much spinier it is than Delight. And Leo was great friends with Paul Thompson, and so he copied his cross. Now I also have some other pots of those seedlings here, just extra cuttings. I have an unknown one over there. And then this one is probably the oldest condor you can find. So this is Leo Manuel's condor, which he got from Edgar Valdivia, who was the first person to get those cuttings from Condor Ranch, I believe. And it produces a great fruit that tastes a lot. It's a Guatemalan, but it tastes and smells a little better. And this was Leonardo, his favorite at Oceanside Dragon Fruits. That was one of his favorite fruit last time we talked to him. And then this one is a really weird one. It looks a lot like Red Jaina, but this one was actually cut in Puerto Rico in the jungle. And so I call it just the Puerto Rican jungle cut. And I have no idea what it is, but it did set some fruit, or some flower buds, excuse me, but they look a lot like Red Jaina. So we'll see what happens with that one. But the spines are longer, really long spines. It's pretty gnarly.
Let's see those spines real quick.
See them here? So it's really spiny. So I'm interested to see what that turns out to be. Over here is Luke Vlieraker. This is a special one. Wow, look at that. It's got flower buds. I missed that. And this one is a really dark Ocamponus, really dark magenta, really pretty plant. And this came from Puerto Vallarta along the coast in Mexico. And I messaged Luke Vlieraker and he told me where he found it. And he gave it to Leo. On this side is actually, this one's a no ID, but this one is the sweetest Guatemalan I have, believe it or not. This one brixed at 21.5, and this one was labeled from Leo Manuel's collection as Leo's eBay self-fertile. Really big fruit like a Guatemalan, but it was brixing in over almost 22. Now it was almost dead when we brought it. It flowered last year, one fruit, and then now it's coming back. So really interesting plant. I hope it flowers again so I could eat it. Really delicious. This one is 5S, which is Paul Thompson's 5S. They were renamed Purple Haze by Pine Island. And I've grown out some Purple Haze from different places and I removed them because I have 5S and I noticed that some grow really dark green. I've noticed some variances. So like I said, I just pulled the others and I'm only keeping 5S. It's a delicious fruit, really, really vigorous grower. And inside that pot as well, I have one of Leo's hybrids, and this is pot D. So he has so many of them, and this is pot D. Look at how old it is. You can see it's like a tree. So I just put it in here, had an extra space, and it seems really happy. All right, we talked about that one. Let's head over here. Head up here, Scott. We missed these, sorry. Now, this pot is really cool. I'm excited to talk about this one because this is my tribute to Paul Thompson. This is his Houghton, or Houghton, they say, which is one of the parent plants for Sugar Dragon, and Rixford. Now, Rixford had been renamed by Kim. They renamed it Rix because it was the wrong one. Then they named it Tropicana, but those are basically, I think, a G2 or something really similar. Now, this one I believe is the real Rixford. And I brought a cutting to Gray Martin and he instantly had recognized some characteristics. So he thinks it could be Rixford. I'm really excited to see how it grows out. So this is my Paul Thompson tribute pot. Over here is Leo's Dragon. I believe Spicy Exotics has it and Leo had it. It's actually one of his hybrids. Like I said, the Selenocereus megalanthus costarricensis cross, but he named this one Leo's Dragon. It has a flower bud up here. I just have it growing in the orange tree.
Yeah,
a nice little bud.
Maybe we can get back there.
Hopefully you can get there. See it?
Yeah. There it
So
is.
just having it hang out here on this lemon tree. It's doing a lot better now. I was not so happy when we moved it. Then this pot are two of my hybrids. This is Paul's Laverne Pink crossed with Trisha. Hasn't flowered yet. It's been growing quite well. I'm hoping this branch produces a flower bud this season. And on this side I have a PG seedling, a physical graffiti seedling. And I call it PGX. And it's been growing really well, really twisted branches, really interesting colored growth, but no flowers or fruit on that one yet. Over here is one from Mexico from my friend Peps, and this was a red flesh one. It hasn't fruited yet. It's growing pretty unique though, so I don't have anything else like it. And that one's from Mexico. On this side, I have Natural Mystic from Spicy Exotics. And I gotta say, it's not my favorite. I may remove it. It tastes okay. Some people really like it, but it's really sensitive in the cold. It rots. It seems to really attract more pests than any other plant, a lot of aphids, and it's just not my favorite. So if the fruit don't wow me this season, I'm going to remove this one. Over here, I have a GE number 3, which is George Emmerich Jr.'s plants. We have 48 of them, and this one is a really weird Ocamponus. I cannot get this darn thing to flower yet. And I've had it several years. It grows really uniquely, and then it gets, in the summertime, it turns yellow, and it puts on this coat, and I have it grafted and ungrafted, and I cannot get this darn thing to flower. So hopefully, sometime this season. And on the other side, I have one from Australia called Purple Dawn. So Purple Dawn is a hybrid. I haven't had the fruit yet. I'm just growing it out, and it's a really aggressive grower. Now around this plum tree, we have George's Red, which is one of the sweetest red varieties. I had some fruit off of it. It will Brix in the 20s, George's Red. And on the other side, Baby Serato. You can see it has a lot of fruit on it. And these ones are really spiny, but they taste really good. So this one's Baby Serato. Now over here are some of George Emmerich's plants. I won't get too into them. I have 48 of them, and I've repotted some of them, and I'm actually kind of neglecting them. Most are Undulatus, and I need to spend some more time on them. But that's the problem with having this many varieties, is when do I have enough time? So now, let's go. Do you want to go up the hill, Scott, or down?
Yeah, just start from the
So let's
bottom
go down here, head down here. We got some really interesting things, and then we'll head back up. So here's a nice old Opuntia. I had a dragon fruit in here, Lada's dragon fruit, but I pulled it out, and I'm gonna prune this out and make another trellis again. So we'll see what happens with that. So down here is the oldest plant I have in the collection. It's from 1998, and it's Hylocereus bronxensis. This one is from H. Huntington Botanical Gardens, and it's from 1998. It costs $5. Leo bought it. So this one, actually I tasted the fruit, and it was the only fruit I had to spit out. It tasted like mold, and you can see how old this plant is. I have a few different cuttings of it. I found a similar one at Exotica to evaluate. It all looks the same, and then it has this flower bud here.
What's wrong with mold?
If you like eating mold,
you
this
like
is
the
your
flavor
one,
of
man. I'll
mold?
give you a cutting of it. You enjoy it, but not my favorite. This one, what do I have here? A Hylocereus venezuelis, which is a maybe mislabeled, really hard to grow. This one I got from a California rare fruit grower. I may give up on it. It's like 2 years old. Look at that. This one is Ocamponus violeta. So this one came from Mexico. It grows more violet than the other Ocamponus, and it's just sitting here hanging out, and I probably should spend more time with it. These ones, this one was a weird one called Leo Manuel's number 1. And it was in all of his records, and it's not 1S obviously, and it said not 1S, it just said 1. So it hasn't grown much for me. Reminds me kind of a red ES1, so I'm not sure what that is. This one is San Lorenzo. I got this one, or is it just Lorenzo? It's not Hong Red. What's this? San Lorenzo. And I got this from Nick C. It's another Ocamponus. You can see I'm kind of neglecting the Ocamponus, I hate to say. This is the Pride of Fallbrook I got from Linda herself, and it ended up being the wrong one. It was not the correct one. And this one tastes a lot like Lisa Rosa. So sadly, this one is a mistake, and most people do not have the correct Pride of Fallbrook. That's why we named that one over there Danny's Pride of Fallbrook, because it's a magenta flesh, which is what the real Pride of Fallbrook is. Now here, I got, what else do I have here? This is Lisa from Elk Creek. Lisa, this one came from, where did this one come from? This is Rosario from Belize, but I learned that they just imported Nicaraguan plants. It grows like horrible. This is a No ID, Sabra, some other things I'm neglecting. And then up here is where we have some better plants and more interesting things. So right here is Lorenzo, which is different supposedly than San Lorenzo. And then here's that one, Scott, that Leonardo called watermelon. And it's never grown well for me. He said it tastes like watermelon, but you have this cutting as well, don't you?
Yeah, it's doing a little better than yours, but
yeah,
it's still slow to grow.
Yeah, I've had some, it just never taken off. No fruit.
Yet.
This one has been really hard for me to grow. This is an Ocamponus medusa. People really have been searching for this one, but it's the least cold tolerant of all the Ocamponus I grow. So it's rotted out over the winter, and I had to start again. This one is Unknown Cetaceous I got from Nick. This one is Edgar Valdivia's Red ES1. So it's a classic, and this is Edgar's seedling number 1. It's a decent fruit, not my favorite. So it lost a trellis, I hate to say, but it's a decent plant. This one is another one of Leo's 7S crossed with neons. This is pot C, and it was doing really poorly in a shadier environment, and so I pulled it and put it here a few weeks ago, and you can see it's got a flower bud now, branches. This old plant is now having some growth, and it even put out a flower bud. So it looks like this plant just needed more sunlight. Here is one of Leo's no IDs. This one was found inside a pot, and it was in the pot of his 3S Red. So I'm hoping maybe this is that Punch one that nobody can find, because people keep talking about one called Punch, and we haven't found it yet. So the one we did a video on, that Punch, was definitely a Cosmic Charlie, which is 2S. So I'm really hoping, could this be Punch, or is it just a no ID? This is Hylocereus peruvianus, which is a white-fleshed undatus. Been slow to grow, but it's happy now, and I probably should tie it up better. This one is one I called Salt's Dragon. It's GE number 20. I named it because this one is so unique. The fruit looks like white fleshed, but it's a deep red inside. It tastes pretty good. And I named it Salt's Dragon because when George Emmerich Jr. passed away, his cat was his beloved cat Salt. It disappeared the same day, and nobody ever found it. So to pay tribute to these rare fruit growers, I thought it'd be nice to name it Salt's Dragon. This one is an unknown one. It's most likely Maria Rosa. I found it at Elk Creek with Danny, and it's growing exactly like Elk Creek's Maria Rosa. Now this one is a pale pink self-sterile plant, and it grows really dark, really short branches. It's a delicious, probably one of my favorite. I would almost call it white-fleshed, but most people say it's pale pink, just so slightly pink. Self-sterile, delicious, big round fruit. This one is one of my favorite seedlings. It keeps flowering, but the flowers abort. It has not flowered yet. This is a PG G3 crossed with Physical Graffiti. So G3 crossed with Physical Graffiti. I didn't hybridize this. My friend, a California rare fruit grower, gave me the seedling. So I'm excited to see how it tastes. It should be really, really cool and really tasty, I hope. You can see I've never grafted it, and it's doing great. This is another one of Leo Manuel's G3s. This is the second trellis I have of it. He liked it so much, and it's still been really productive. I've eaten several fruit off of it this season already. Now this one, I really hope it flowers this season. This is the oldest 8S that is probably known in existence. This was Leo Manuel's, and he collected it from Paul Thompson himself, January 17th, 2002. So this is from 2002, it's 21 years old, and I pulled it out. It almost died last year, and I had it up the hill in the shade, and it didn't do much, and so I put it here just last week, and I'm blasting it with more sunlight, and we'll see what happens. And so I have this original 8S next to Sugar Dragon and Arizona Purple and Neon and all the others to see, are they the same or different. So this one's Arizona Purple. This one did get a spine on the fruit. So like the Voodoo Child, so interesting. Arizona Purple. This is Sugar Dragon from Elk Creek Farms, and they renamed 8S Sugar Dragon. You can see how productive it is. And then here's Danny's Sugar Dragon. He called it SD9. I do not see a difference. It's just a more possibly productive Sugar Dragon, but I have them side by side. They're very much the same. This was Leo Manuel's favorite of this smaller fruit, and this one's Neon. And this one came from Leo's collection. David Archer is the person that I believe named it. But you can see it's a little bit more sensitive, and it hasn't been so happy. So I'm wondering, is it just because it's so old? It's looking a lot better now. It's got more flower buds, but it was really yellow. Or maybe it needs more sun. So right now I'm just leaving it here. I took some cuttings, and I'm gonna put one in full sun to see what happens. If you look, the fruit almost looks a little bigger right now than Sugar Dragon, so we'll see. This is Kips Red. This one is a popular Guatemalan that grows pretty quickly, and you can find this at local nurseries, so they still sell it today. I believe it's San Marcos Nursery is who sells it, Kips Red. This one is probably the oldest Frankie's Red in existence. As you can see, it's from Leo Manuel from 2005, and it's finally got my first flower bud here. And look at it, it's like a pine tree.
Yeah, it just gets barky.
So really barky, really hard to grow. It didn't do much last season when we moved it. and I kept it under this California pepper tree to really give it less sunlight.
Yeah, I think
and
it
I
likes
think it's
shade
helping.
more.
And look at all this beautiful new growth. It's really happy. I've pruned off a lot, and now I finally have a flower bed. This is what some people say is one of the best tasting fruit. Self-fertile as well. This one is Bloody Mary, which has given me some problems, so I gave it more shade. It really rotted out last season. It had topped the trellis down the hill in full sun, and then totally rotted this spring. And then this one I moved several times. It's Hyloceus trigonosus. It's the one from Puerto Rico, the native, that's bicolored, two-colored fruit. And I think they named it HS Chameleon. Three Lucky Mountains renamed it. But for some reason, it's died the past few seasons. It died back, and so I just repotted it again. And it's a little sensitive in my climate, but much better in the shade. Kind of needs to find a sweet spot. Now, this one may not look like much, but this one's really special to me as well, because this one is Frankie's Red crossed with Assunta. And my friend Richard Renshaw hybridized it, and it's been hard for him to grow. I don't believe he's ever had a fruit, so he shipped me out this plant, and I've got it in here adjusting it, and I'm going to experiment to see if we can get it to grow out. But wow, what a special hybrid. Frankie's Red crossed with Assunta. Over here is another one of our seedlings of that series from that Assunta 2 cross, and this is seedling number 1.
Yeah, it's going
you can
off,
see I fertilized it with our fertilizer that we'll talk about, and it's really happy. I need to prune off all this growth. And so I put this one in more shade just to see how it does compared to the others. As you can see, it doesn't seem to mind the shade. See, we talked about Hoang Red and Thanos. This one is Kwangong Self-Fertile, which is a really unique plant. Looks like a Guatemalan, kind of like Dark Star too, so I will test it for self-fertility. Some people online thought that this is the same as Dark Star, but maybe this, if it's really self-fertile from Kwang, which we'll test, we'll see. But it reminds me of Dark Star, I do agree, but I see some differences. So I need to test this one for self-fertility for sure this season. It almost died last year. We moved it, if you remember, Scott. It rotted out a bit, and then now it's just so happy, and now it's putting out some buds. But I noticed last winter this thing was not happy. And here's some more. I did some extra cuttings just in case. And then we have some more up the hill, but we'll save those for next time. So thanks for watching part 2 in this series of our grand collection.